I'll admit it, you were right. The movie was pretty amazing. Although I was also thoroughly distracted for a little bit there in the middle. I will remind you that I wasn't the one who picked the seats. I mean, back row, 2 full rows behind the closest people in front of us? What else is a girl supposed to think about your intentions? And I will point out, I certainly didn't hear you complaining at the time. Oh, I didn't think it was. I'm just saying. And besides, I liked the movie enough to see it again. And see the parts we missed this time. Especially considering all the parts we didn't miss tonight that we wouldn't necessarily have to focus on if we saw it again. Alright, I'll behave. For now. No promises on what I do if we come back, though. I didn't think you would. Oh, that sounds great, actually. We could go to one of the restaurants nearby. I know a couple of them are still open. Or we could go to the bookshop. Was I that transparent? Honestly, yeah. I don't know that I personally want dessert right now, but a coffee and maybe a cookie sounds amazing. Plus, we could leave the car and walk. The weather's sort of perfect for it. And it would let me hold your hand for longer than it would if we drove over. I mean, is it all right with you? Would you rather get some actual dessert? We can. All the places around here have coffee, and I could just steal a bite or two. Mm. Are you sure? Mm. Thank you. It really is gorgeous out tonight. The weather's perfect. The company's better. I've had a wonderful time tonight, and I really did enjoy the movie. I'm really glad you suggested it. Well, that's honestly kind of a toss-up for me because there were 2 moments that I genuinely, completely loved. Choosing between them to pick a favorite. Can I get back to you on that tomorrow? I think I might need to let it sit and see how I feel about it. That is not a hedge. Or a dodge. I'm wanting to make sure that I've properly considered everything before I commit. Oh, that's a low blow. My artist's soul? Oh, who would have thought that such a cutie knew how to wound a girl right to her very core? Oh, fine. Call me on the carpet in front of the whole city, why don't you? um, hmm. If you're going to make me choose right this instant, my favorite part was honestly probably the closing monologue. It showed the growth he'd gone through during the course of events, both as the hero of the story and also as a person. It was a gorgeously crafted homage, and actually almost a eulogy in a way, for the person he'd been at the start of the movie, while also being an ode to the person that he could finally see himself potentially becoming now that he wasn't afraid to let light into his life and wasn't so determined to hold on to his pain. It was a beautiful piece of exposition about resilience, really. It was a beautiful piece of exposition about resilience, really. And it was just so full of tenacity and gratitude and wonder and hope. I almost don't want to call it perfect, but it was pretty perfect. What's that smile for? Oh, well, thanks. What about you? What part did you like best? Now that is a dodge. If I wasn't allowed to get out of it, you aren't either. What was your favorite part? Do you want to know a secret? That was honestly the other moment I loved without any reservation. Yes, it was a gorgeously complex scene that had so many layers of implication and symbolism going on, and his acting during it was amazing. The way the two of them were almost this warped mirror of each other, and the inner turmoil he was battling as he slowly came to that realization. Oh God, he completely sold it. It was gorgeous and sort of soul-rending to watch, and it honestly needed to be. None of the rest of what came after would have been as impactful if that scene didn't have the weight they were able to give it. And the closing monologue wouldn't have been as poignant either. It was honestly just a beautiful piece of artistry. You really are out to make me blush tonight, aren't you? Normally the shoe's on the other foot, but I guess turnabout is fair play. Thanks. Have I ever told you how much I love the smell of bookstores? I do. They just smell so distinctive. It's the paper, I think. Or maybe the ink. Or the combination of both. I don't know. But I do know that as books age, the ink and paper break down and the chemical reaction makes that amazing vanilla and almond smell. But even new books smell wonderful. Oh, that display's new. And interesting. Great classics of literature. I've always sort of hated that phrase. I mean, who gets to decide what constitutes a classic? I read plenty of books in school that were supposed classics that I hated, and I read more than a few on my own time that were just as old and influential, but weren't graced with that designation. I've never understood it. Don't ask me that, not without warning. Honestly, there are just too many across too many genres. Look, you've already made me pick a favorite something else tonight. Don't make me go through that again. Oh, it was worth a shot. Fine. Ah, um, for the classics, When I was a teenager, probably Daphne du Maurier. I know she really only wrote the one novel, but it's got such a haunted quality to it. Something longing and yearning and jealous and insecurity, just all right under the surface of the story that just permeates every word, especially on a second read. But the themes of the story are about overcoming all of those and about letting go of your past and refusing to live in it. I don't know, it just always felt different. What about yours? Oh, that's a good choice. One my English teacher my junior year of high school liked too. A lot. No, that wasn't one of the ones I hated. I honestly don't remember much about that one, if I'm being honest, though. It might be time for a reread. Oh, I could be convinced, especially if you read it to me. Mm-hmm. That Poe collection is new. Oh, I do, but my dad. My dad is practically obsessed with him, though. If he could have, he probably would have made a pilgrimage to Poe's house every year. I think it was just the fact that we lived across the country that stopped him at all. Every October, he'd read me one story a night as my bedtime story from this massively huge anthology he had. It was our special lead up to Halloween. I remember we had to read Murders in the Rue Morgue for class in junior high school and write a paper on it. My teacher was practically livid when I turned mine in. She was sure that I'd plagiarized it or that one of my parents had written it for me. Mom went down and set her straight. She explained that I'd been listening to it since I was 6. I ended up getting 105 on that paper. I haven't told you, but my name is actually Eleanor. When my parents learned they were having a girl, Dad apparently lobbied really hard to name me Annabelle, because that's one of his favorite poems by Poe. You know the one, right? Me and my Annabelle Lee. Yeah, my darling, my life and my bride. Yeah, that one. Anyway, Mom shot the name down as being too morbid. The next suggestion Dad apparently gave was Lenore, which Mom also vetoed. The compromise they eventually came to, after much heated debate, I was told, was Eleanor. Dad called me Len out of protest. Mom tried to counter it by calling me Ellie, or my name when I wouldn't answer to Ellie. But Len just stuck. I do. I've done what I can to try to process through it. I mean, it's been 10 years. That's not terribly long in the grand scheme of things, but when you're staring what's essentially eternity in the face, you learn to make do, to move through some things in certain ways. You have to, or you'll eventually be swallowed by grief. But I also don't know if you ever stop missing people you love who aren't in your life anymore. I lost grandparents before. I know how to grieve that kind of loss, how to mourn and move on, move forward. This one's different though, because they're still alive. But I'm not. Well, not in any way they can ever know about, anyway. Which is sort of the same thing in a weird, perverse sense. But the whole situation also is what it is. And that's where you have to meet it and cope with it. Because you can't change any of this. You can't undo it. You can never unring a bell. Especially not one like this. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to get so, maudlin. I'm not sorry I told you, though. I wanted to share that part of me with you. You deserve to know it. Though, fair warning, if you ever call me Eleanor, I probably won't answer. The only time I ever use it is on tax documents because I have to. Absolutely not. You wouldn't. Don't you dare tell the barista. Have I ever told you that some days you're lucky you're cute? I thought so. I just wanted to check. Just for the record. Right now is one of those times. Without question. Now let's go get that coffee before they close down the coffee shop on us.